Hi, it's Ann. Thanks for stopping by. Well, this is a little different, isn't it? We are camping, and I wanted to show you the craft supplies that I brought camping. I think Dan is surprised that I got every craft supply that I needed for this trip in this one box. Are you surprised, honey?
Absolutely.
I just want to show you what I brought along. We're going to be here for about 5 days, but I didn't want to stop crafting just because we were on vacation. So inside this box, the first thing here, this is a sketchbook. I don't do a whole lot of sketching, but I do enough that it's kind of fun to try while sitting around camp. And I started some of this last summer. So anyway, I haven't done any sketching yet on this trip, but I brought this along because it's very portable. These are the journals that I'm actually going to be working on adding some things to. I have several journals going at any given time. Want to catch up on my gardening notebook. I want to catch up on my daily journal, and this is my journal for my YouTube ideas. So those go in the kit, and they actually take up a lot of room. I brought this just to have some additional paper. This is an old journal that I got at the thrift store. I just blank pages. That's handy in case I want to do any crafting. I'm going to do it out of this. Didn't bring any books. I brought books to read, but I didn't bring any books to craft with. I didn't want to bring my whole craft room because then what would be the point? I wanted to narrow things down. So there's that. These are the pencils that I use for sketching. I brought one punch, my 1-inch circle punch. I brought a tiny stapler. It is not the famous tiny stapler, but it is in fact a tiny stapler that I thought could be handy. I wanted to do some watercolor. So I brought my inexpensive student grade watercolor paper, my Arteza watercolors, and I got this sort of little specialty shimmery watercolor. Haven't used that yet. These are the tools that I brought my glues. I brought a little bit of black ink, brought my bone folder, a couple of stamps. I brought my cutting tools, one tiny pair of scissors, my knife, a little bit of washi tape, my distressing tools, a straight edge, and my jelly roll, white jelly roll, my date stamp, and a couple of pens. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these scissors, and Dan and I are going to go to one of the leafy areas here, and we're going to harvest a few leaves that we're going to do a project with. Okay, we are going to be very selective and very careful in choosing some leaves because, certainly we our goal obviously is not to damage anything, and we will not. We are plant people, and we know how to gently remove a few leaves to celebrate them. I am going to, I don't really know what this is, but this looks like it's some pretty fronds there. Looks like there might be some interesting veins on these. I'll take them inside anyway. And honey, maybe you can kind of follow. Oh, here's some oxalis. Some of that. A 3-leaf clover. Here's a fern. This is not one of our famous Oregon sword ferns, but ferns are very abundant. What did we look up the other day, Dan? That there's 15,000 varieties of ferns, or something like that.
10 to 15,000.
Right. Anyway, ferns are always fun. And getting off this. Okay, how about one of these berry leaves? And let's find one more example. It's very chilly today here at camp. Oh, here's a native native bleeding heart. We have those at home, don't we? But they're very prevalent here in the woods. So that's nice and frondy. All right, we're going to take them back in the camper and see what we're going to do. So I forgot to mention that I did also bring along about 6 to 8 pieces of legal size, just plain copier paper. Didn't have my spray bottle or anything, didn't have any coffee stain paper, so I just did a little coffee staining. I poured a little coffee out of Dan's coffee cup and dipped a few pages in them, and I have them draped on the back of camp chairs here, and using my hairdryer to dry them because it gets very damp here at camp. Needed a little help. Okay, we're back inside the camper trailer. It is rainy and misty outside. We're going to have a nicer day tomorrow, but this is a great day to be inside doing some crafting. I've been doing a little bit of experimenting, and this berry bush, this has been the most successful for me. There's some of the leaves have kind of a real waxy exterior, which, you know, next time before I harvest them, I will pay a little more attention to that. But these berry leaves with all of these different veins turn out really nicely. So why don't we take a look here at how those will print. And I've got my watercolors here. I brought no acrylic paint or other ink, but the watercolors I think are going to be, well, I don't know. The little bit of experimenting that I've been doing, they've been okay. So let's kind of see how the watercolors take us here. And I'm going to try to remember to not cross-contaminate anything. I'm doing this on the front. Just using my water pen. I'm doing this on the front of these leaves, and as you can kind of see, that watercolor paint is really getting down into those little crevices. I hope you can see that anyway. The setup here is extremely different from my usual setup. It's dark outside. Here we go. I'm just gonna paint and paint. And then I'm gonna bring some of that newly made coffee dyed paper into the fold. Well, Anne, grab that. Maybe I'll bring I've got few other little colors here that'll add some interest if those translate. And almost there. I've also been experimenting with just doing some watercolor painting of ferns and other things, but I have to admit to pick a, whoops, just dipped into the wrong pan there. This goes faster. All right, now, before this dries, I'm going to carefully pick this up. I'm going to bring in some of my new coffee dyed paper. And let's just carefully lay this face down. Put a napkin there. This is almost like jelly printing in a way, isn't it? I did think about bringing some of my gel prints along, but just too much stuff. And jelly printing, as we know, takes up a lot of room, so. As if this doesn't, but. All right, I'm feeling those veins. Let's see. Oh, I see a little bit of green there. Yeah, that's nice. That is nice. I'm going to keep working on this, and then we'll see what we can come up with. Okay, I have finished this this piece. It's kind of cold out today, but and I'm sorry, there's all kinds of shadows here on this, but I finished this this leaf printing piece. I think it turned out so great. Shadows from my camera system here, but it's a little bit, at least it's not raining today. It's pretty chilly out here, but I thought you would want to see how this turned out. I would love to be able to just to cut it up and make it into some tags or something like this, but do you know what? I love this so much, and it's coffee dyed on the other side with just a little bit of paint schmutz on there. I think I'm going to save this just to stitch into a signature. It's a legal size paper, so it's probably going to fold, you know, something like that, and I'll have a little bit left over for a tag. But I think I'm just going to leave it intact because I just think it is so pretty, and I just love that I did it here at camp. And you can hear other campers starting to pull out of the campsite today. There's a little bit of a noisy morning, but it's nice to be outside. One thing I would like to do is I'd like to put a little bit of spatter, so fingers crossed that I don't ruin this. And I'm gonna put down our cut open bagel bag from this morning, and not that I worry too much about about the picnic table at camp, because the next rain, that's probably going to be tomorrow, will wash it off. But I brought my watercolor out here, and you can tell I've been doing more watercoloring in the camper, and we'll just kind of pick this up, a little bit of this black. And I hope I've got enough pigment in there. And we'll just kind of see. This is making me nervous. Not quite enough watercolor coming off. I'm used to doing this with acrylic paint and not watercolor, but as we know, I was restricting myself on supplies this time. Okay. There's a little bit more spatter. Okay. Whoops, Anne. It's so chilly out here. My fingers, my dexterity is not as nimble as I would like. Okay. And it's breezy. Hope you can see this. Yeah, these little spatters. I shouldn't have been so nervous. It just looks like a fly has landed and left a spatter or two on this. Looks like it's spattering more when I strike it against this finger a little bit up closer to the tip, or to the holding end, the opposite of the brush end. I don't know the physics of that, but let me get just a little bit more over here. There we go. Hi. Almost like I had a pepper shaker out for this thing. I'm filming a YouTube video.
Right now?
Yeah. It's okay. That's it. I'm going to leave you with some scenes from camp. Thank you.